Holy return of the kings! This is Flight Check, Season 3, Episode 17. We're back, once again, talking all aspects of FlyQuest in a non-controversial week. That's actually not true. There's been plenty of controversy. There's always controversy.
Always controversy.
Always. My name, as always, is Sandy Toes, and to my left and my extra left are my fellow hosts Noxwar and Hurley Double Q. Gentlemen, the LCS is back. It starts Wednesday. We have 6 weeks of super weeks coming through.
It's going to be a great time.
It's going to be a great few weeks of LCS action. NACL is wrapping up their week 1 tonight, and everything is just starting to hum on all cylinders. Everything's looking good. I even got shaded by I Will Dominate on Twitter, who notoriously is not on the show tonight, even after I extended a very courteous invitation. The invitation...
I believe you just ghosted you.
I know.
That, man.
You know, and look, it's still an open invite. If Dom, if you're seeing this and you want to talk, come through, baby. We'll talk. We'll have it out. We'll discuss. I promise you I have negotiated a thing or two in my time. Look, my tweet may have been a little exaggerated, maybe a little inflammatory, but I do stand by what I said. And I'm sure we'll be discussing it tonight because it is important news. Nox, Curly, what's some of the biggest news for you guys this week? We've had some various announcements from teams finally solidifying rosters. There was like that Jenkins signing randomly, potentially playing mid lane for 100 Thieves. Some of the NACL stuff has kicked off. Anything from you guys that you're thinking about before we get into the rest of the show that you're just like, hey, this was like the big thing of the week for me?
I mean, we could talk about the fact that the lockout ended, and we were actually getting LCS this Thursday.
I think that's the biggest news, is that we have a summer split.
We actually have
the fact that we have a summer split, and I am no longer wasting my plane tickets that I already bought for New Jersey. So that's a big plus for me.
This is very true.
That is good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we are going to get into it for sure. FlyQuest RED. We are going to start off with them. They had a couple... They had at least one match. Maybe they had more than one match this week. I'll have to actually double-check that, which I will right now. However, got to move that to the middle. FlyQuest RED in the ESEA Season 45 season, I guess you would call it, which is, for those of you who don't know... It's basically part of the ESL Challenger League, and from what I understand, this is not a women's-only league. This is like a...
It's an actual division.
It's an actual division. It's anyone at all. And from what I understand, FlyQuest RED, after they took down Standing Dude Side, when you get into these lower-level leagues, the names just become amazing. They take down Standing Dude Side in a 2-1 after they had fallen down to the lower bracket. And that puts them in what I believe might be 1, 2, 3, 4. It puts them into top 8. And for whatever reason that I am still learning, that puts them into promotion from ESEA Season 45 main to advanced. So they will be moving up to the advanced division, tougher competition, and that's only one step below the ESL Challenger League itself, where you've got, orgs like Evil Geniuses, their main CSGO roster, Pain Gaming's main CSGO roster, even Wildcard has a roster there. But yeah, this will... Like, Advance is going to be a much more serious group. And what's crazy is in, like, this Season 45 of the Advanced Division, there were like 63 teams in it, all told. And I guess it's just kind of like a Swiss bracket, basically, is how it works. So top 16 basically go into this. It will in advance. In the main, everyone gets in. It was 32 teams for seeding in like a double round robin, and into the playoffs. And so now top 8, that has moved them up to advanced 4. I don't know. I assume that would be season 46. So we'll see how that. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Sounds right. That sounds right.
Yep. So super exciting. They actually play. It's lower round 5. They play at 9:30 p.m. tonight.
Eastern time.
Eastern time, from what I understand, versus and I am not pronouncing this incorrectly. It is Piss Gem Gamin.
What?
So yeah.
What?
PISS space GEM space Gaming.
Oh,
That's
my
gaming
goodness.
with no G at the end. So we'll see how they do. No matter what, they have secured their placement in Season 46 Advanced, which is absolutely awesome for them, and definitely super excited to see where they head to next. And maybe they'll get all the way up to that Challenger League, and we'll see them competing for greater glory down the road. But that tournament continues on. You can find the bracket on the ESEA website, play.esea.net. 9:30 p.m. I will do my best while the show's going on to figure out what channel that will be streaming on. Last time it was on Miss Harvey's stream, so maybe it'll be on there again, and we can run over there and host it and make sure you all get to watch some good FlyQuest RED action. All right, NACL, it started. Week 1 is basically in the books. I think there's a couple outstanding games. But
Supernova versus Wildcard right now, and then there's one more, I think, going on. No, actually, that should be the last one.
Okay. All right, so FlyQuest Challengers, 3-3 start to the season with the 2-0 over Cincinnati Fear, a 1-1 versus Disguised, and an 0-2 today against Team Liquid Challengers. And I would have to say, yes, it was an 0-2 against TLC, Tender Loving Care. However, I did not feel like it was a particularly dominant 2-0 by TLC. I thought that FlyQuest actually played them pretty closely, Knox. What do you think?
No, I would agree for the most part. Game 1 was a lot of just a rare Massu bad game. Mm-hmm. Like, he got 2v2 killed with Winsome under TLC's bot lane tower just because he literally walked onto a Jinx trap, mm-hmm. and just got himself killed. And then from that point on, he just kept falling further and further behind. And it was just unfortunate because I was talking about this in our like kind of pro discussion spoiler Discord or channel in our Discord. And it was like, okay, this is a game where Yuji and Spirax like really have to step up. Like, your main carry is no longer going to be here for you. And unfortunately, what was frustrating was, like, I watched Spirax buy Crown of the Shattered Queen, and it just, like, you're not going to be able to carry that way. Yuji tried his damnedest, and I'll go into Yuji more here in a second, but, game 1 was just a lot of, like, Spirax needed to step up, and he didn't, and that was very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
And then game 2 was Team Liquid Challengers, and it's all over Twitter right now, by the way. You can go look at every single one of their Twitter accounts. You can go look at Spawn, who's the coach of Team Liquid's Challenger team. All of them on Twitter were basically like, this is how Mir acts, and it's like Mir lying on the floor crying if we don't ban 5 junglers from UG right now. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly what they did. They forced him onto Rek'Sai, and he finally had a bad game. Like, out of 6 games over this weekend, he's only had 1 bad game, and it was after they banned 5 champions against him, and they got the counter pick on him too. It was just, they threw everything in the kitchen sink at him, and it finally like took him down, right? So, I think a lot of my takeaways are, I need to see Spirax step it up a little more, mm-hmm. and Yuji is absolutely on fire.
Yeah,
he's a god right now this split, and it is awesome to see because a lot of people were kind of feeling wishy-washy on him towards the end of last split, and like he's immediately coming back and saying, no, I am that guy.
Yeah. Curly, what does it say to you that 5 bans got dedicated to Yuji here?
I think that says that Yuji might be the best jungler in the NACL right now. I don't know. I don't. I haven't even heard of 5 junglers being banned in like the LCS or like at Worlds or international tournaments. So that must be absolutely insane.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely, I mean, obviously it's a sign of respect. And
all their Twitter posts were very respectful. Like it almost sounds like they genuinely mean it. So
yeah.
I feel very good about UG this right now, this split.
Yeah. Cubby came out on Twitter, said he thinks, and it's shown, and hang on, maybe I can find the exact tweet so I don't misquote him somewhere, but it was basically that he thought, yep, pretty clear to me after 1 week of NACL play that TL, Fly, and Disguised are a cut above the rest. We're going to have to see which teams can catch up to them this split to make this more than a 3-horse race. FlyQuest Challengers, tough schedule start in that case to the season.
Top 2 teams right off the bat.
Yeah. 2 of the other top 3 teams. And obviously disappointing to go 1-3 against them. But I'll note, like, the 2-0 over Cincinnati Fear, I was only able to watch game 1. I don't know, Knox, if you were able to watch the second game. But that first game looked... the mid-game fighting in both... in that game, I thought was very respectable, and I thought we were kind of on the back foot to Cincy Fear in that game, but the mid-game fighting turned it around, and this team legitimately can play well in those mid-game team fights.
Oh, yeah. Again, the one thing I really remember from game 1 of Fear was Yuji's Kazakhs. And you could tell the team was like trying to kind of gel real quick, and they were trying to figure out like how do we play with an assassin jungle, right?
Yeah.
And you could tell there was moments of like Yuji was jumping in, and then he would just get absolutely annihilated. And for him, it's absolutely the right call, but this team wasn't really quite ready to back him up all that much.
Yeah.
And so eventually towards the end, just because Fear isn't that as good of a team, like we just finally found the right angle, and we finally got the fight, and we kind of got snowballed a little bit, and then we kind of carried it out from there. And then game 2 was a somewhat similar story with Yuji on the Viego, and then Massu and Winsome on Luna or Lucianami did punish the bot lane of Fear pretty hard, who was playing Aphelios and Milio.
Yeah.
Long story short is basically Yuji's just popping off that series, and while there's moments in time, even in the mid game, where they can't quite figure out how to play around Yuji because this is a very jungle carry meta that they're playing. Not meta, sorry, jungle carry style that they're playing.
Yeah.
The team's still good enough to be able to handle it, and they're doing really, really well with it, right? So, yeah, I think overall the Fear series was a good example of things that they need to work on still, because even though they 2-0'd, they had some issues. But there wasn't anything like major or like red flag being thrown that I could see.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say, with a week 1 schedule like this one, to walk out of it with a 3-3, I think is really respectable, and I'm excited to see what they've got. We'll get into their schedule next week in a bit, but in my opinion, should be significantly easier. And hopefully they'll be able to take advantage of that. One thing I want to talk about real quick is there was some commentary in a Discord by PapaSmithy about Massu in particular this week, noting that if Massu is not the LCS starter for FlyQuest next year, then he expects him to be on another contending team.
Wow.
And that I mean, per PapaSmithy, because someone said, like, hey, it was something about, like, don't keep him in contract jail, or something like that. And PapaSmithy seemed fairly insistent that there was little to no chance of that. Knox, I believe you posted that in the Discord at one, someone did. Maybe it was you. But I just want to get both y'all's reactions to that, because that's a pretty definitive statement, especially, you know, having Prince as your bot laner, to expect Massu to supplant him next year. That's a very interesting statement to be making right now.
Yeah, you want to go first, Curly, or?
I mean, yeah, it's pretty insane as you're heading into summer split to like say that, hey, like, you know, we've got Prince, who's one of the best spot lanes in the league. I expect Massu to be starting next year. Mm-hmm. Now, what I'm guessing he means is like maybe there's a chance that Prince doesn't stick around, so Massu, he's like, he'd probably be ready to fill his shoes, you know? Maybe Prince is only going to be here for the year. Who knows? Or maybe it's just to say that he is good enough to have a shot even with the caliber of Prince. Like, he's a very promising rookie. Mm-hmm. So I think that's more to encourage, like, hey, other teams pick him up because we have him and he's worth it, you know? So I think that's kind of more of a sales pitch to other people in the scene, rather than being like, yeah, we're ready to replace Prince if we don't perform well.
Yeah, that's absolutely possible. Knox, what do you think?
So I'm looking at all the lists of 80 carries right now for this split, right? Let's just throw it out that, like, Berserker probably sticking around. Cloud9's a big fan of that guy, right? Mm-hmm. But there's, outside of maybe Eon, because I could see TL having a lot of loyalty towards him, I don't really see a lot of certainty for pretty much any of these 80 carries that are still in the league, right? Double Lift, I mean, if he's wanting to stick around even, he may retire again, who knows. I don't think 100 Thieves has done enough to warrant his loyalty this year. Maybe, who knows, that changes in summer, but I could see him shifting around. Tomo, well, let's be honest, just Dignitas in general, I could see them just straight up selling the spot, and if someone else takes over the org, then by all means, they may blow up the roster and just try and pick up someone new, aka Massu could slide right in. Evil Geniuses is just a mess of an org, and I have no idea what the plan is during the offseason. Yeah. So Massu could slide in there. Prince, actually, I'll say Prince for last. Stixay, actually, that's probably another one that I imagine Golden Guardian is pretty loyal towards, unless, like, a very obvious upgrade comes along. And as good as Massu is, like, I'm not sure how much it'll be worth for them to drop Stixay, like, in terms of, like, loyalty and so on and so forth. Sure. So I feel less confident on that one. Tactical, let's be honest here, Tactical has not been an upstanding 80 carry over the past couple splits, and it would be a very much easy slide in for Massu if Immortals wanted to pick him up. Or there's a small possibility that Immortals also sells a spot, and then it's a whole same thing as Dignitas, right? Where New Orc comes in, blows up the roster, hey, Massu slides in. NRG, I mean, you can see right now they already dropped Luger. They picked up FBI. FBI, in my opinion, while not bad, has just been okay. And maybe NRG looks in the offseason and goes, well, this kid has potential. He could be a rising superstar. Maybe they pick him up, right? And then TSM, let's be honest. Not even let's be honest. It's confirmed practically at this point that TSM's going to be out of the league after the end of this year. Yeah. They're trying to go to a different major region. So this is probably Wild Turtle's final split. I don't imagine any org is going to want to pick him up after this. So
right.
Yeah, there's a bunch of spots where Massu can slide in at. So I understand where PapaSmithy's coming from in the sense of, like, if for whatever reason Prince, who I saved for last, decides to go back to Korea after this, because let's say an unfortunate summer happens and Fly, for whatever reason, doesn't make it to Worlds, or even if they make it to Worlds, it's a very lackluster and upsetting Worlds. Like, I wouldn't blame Prince for wanting to go back to Korea at that point, right? And in which case, Massu slides in there. Right. So at the end of the day, there's probably like 380 carries that I imagine are staying on their teams at the end of the split, and that's a lot of potential for Massu to slide in. So yes, long story short, at the end of it all, what PapaSmithy said, I 100% agree with that. I expect Massu to most likely be playing in 2024, whether it be for FlyQuest or whether it be for a different team.
I could really see like 100 Thieves potentially picking him up.
Absolutely. I could absolutely see that.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, especially with the way PapaSmithy said that if he's not playing for FlyQuest, then he expects him to be playing for a, quote, contender. So theoretically, not a bottom of the table team such as your, Immortals or your TSM-esques.
I mean, I have to imagine that FlyQuest, like Nick fan, has to have had talks with these players, and PapaSmithy himself has probably had talks with these players, and you have to understand that it actually may be more beneficial in certain very specific cases to stick around in Challengers League rather than go to some of these bottom feeder orgs that are currently in the LCS.
Yeah, absolutely.
As sad as that is, it should absolutely never be that way. But let's be honest here: if your only options are like Immortals or Dignitas or TSM right now, I'll happily just stick it around in Challengers League for another split and look for an opportunity come summer, or if it's the next off season or whatever it may be.
Yeah,
that's my personal opinion on it.
No, I agree. Yeah. No, I think it's super interesting for sure. And obviously, it all depends, of course, on Massu's continued performance. If he starts to look a little worse, then maybe that free agency stock slips a little bit, and things could certainly change, as they always do in the scene. Next week, speaking of his future games, 3 more best of 2s for FlyQuest Challengers on Saturday. They play Area of Effect Gold, so the AoE/Golden Guardians pairing. Sunday, they've got Team Fish Taco, and Monday night, they play Evil Geniuses Challengers Nox. I'm expecting a 4-2 at minimum from this upcoming weekend. How are you feeling about it?
So, just remind me one more time. So, you have AoE Gold, we have Team Fish Taco, and we have Evil Geniuses Challengers, correct?
Evil Geniuses Challengers.
So, EGC is performing a lot better than I thought that they were. They're currently 2-0-1, with their only 0-2 coming to Wildcard. Team Fish Taco, I don't think is very, very good. They've honestly picked up more wins than I expected them to. And then AoE Gold is also performing. I'm actually kind of surprised right now. The teams that FlyQuest are playing next week are actually out of the gate performing a little bit better than I was expecting them to. But at the end of the day, these teams, full transparency, I had AoE Gold ranked 9th. I had Team Fish Taco ranked 10th. And then I think I had EGC ranked 7th, maybe. These were all teams that FlyQuest should easily win.
Yeah.
So bear in mind with how these games work, because it's best of 2s over 3 series, I do expect challengers, this FlyQuest Challengers squad, to drop a game to someone, and it's most likely to come from Evil Geniuses Challengers. They're actually looking fairly solid, so keep an eye on that match. But other than that, I'm expecting a 5-1 week, to be completely honest. I really hope we're not dropping a game to Team Fish Taco. That would be very, very depressing. AoE Gold's a little bit harder, but I actually don't think they're that good, and it should be 2-0-able. Evil Geniuses Challengers is probably where the biggest challenge is going to come from, and I would not be surprised if we drop a game there.
Yeah, no, I can, definitely can see that for sure. Yeah, I mean, I said the 4-2 minimum, but obviously the hope would be a 5-1, or even obviously the hope is a 6-0. You never want to drop a game. You never expect to drop the game.
It is a very 6-0-able week. This week, playing Disguised and Team Liquid, this was never a 6-0-able week. Next week and the week after are very much 6-0-able weeks.
Yeah, I think this is a really good week for FlyQuest Challengers to set themselves apart from the rest of the league. And I think after this first week, you will see the league shake out a little bit more than maybe this first week has shown you. So that'll be super interesting. What's been your biggest disappointment so far? I know a lot of folks have been pointing to, I don't know how they did in their matchup against Fear tonight, But Maryville, 0-4 so far, dropping to EGC. Did have to go up against TL, but I feel like folks were looking at them to, maybe make a splash this season.
It's hard to say, right? Like, Maryville University is historically in like CLOL and in Challengers always been one of those like top premier teams, right? They always got their name out there. They always look fairly solid. But that's kind of the problem, is they've always just looked fairly solid. And when you're looking only fairly solid at basically what is considered the Tier 3 and Tier 4 levels,
yeah,
when you get to the Tier 2 level, I'm sorry, it's just a different game.
Right.
So, admittedly, I think I put Maryville at like 8th, I think, behind EGC. And I honestly, now that I'm looking at it, and this may be too early, but it may have been a little too high, obviously, right? So I don't have a lot of hope and faith in them to really step it up all that much more. I know they have I know they have a fair amount of resources, and the players on that squad are not bad, but everyone else in this league is just a different caliber, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not expecting much for them for the rest of the season, but who knows? Maybe they kind of sneak up over Supernova. Maybe they finally get over Team Fish Taco, which is kind of what I predicted in the first place. We'll see, but no, I don't really have a lot of hopes for them.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think that's about it on NACL. Curly, any final thoughts? I know you didn't have a chance to watch most of the NACL matches, but any thoughts from you on the upcoming week ahead?
Honestly, just really excited. Hope to see a better scoreline from FlyQuest. Because now we're not facing the other contenders for the top. Now we can actually show our stuff.
Absolutely.
Which also 3-3 is still a great start. So I'm very hopeful for the season.
And all 3 losses were extremely competitive. So it's not like we got rolled in any of them. I guess that's the second Disguise game. We got kind of punished pretty badly. But even then, I didn't think it was ugly from the few clips that I saw. So. Yeah. But outside of that, I was fairly happy with how this weekend went, considering who we were playing.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think by all means this was a success, and there's a lot to learn and take away from and improve on for next week. So I'm excited to see where it goes. All right, it's time for the return of the Kings, the return of the power rankings. We're gonna swap over to our brand new flight check presentation mode. Here we are, and I gotta move the topic over a little bit.
So
fancy. Look at how small we are. Look at how tiny we are.
Look how tiny we are. But the importance is what's going on in the middle here. It's going to appear in 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! There they are. Our power rankings for the upcoming LCS summer split. Nox and I are almost exactly aligned. Besides 9 and 10. And Curly's got a little bit more variance, but not too much. So let's run this through.
Like, we've got our pockets, right? We all agree that FlyQuest and Cloud9 are first and second. We all agree that Golden Guardians is third. We all agree that 100 Thieves and NRG are right next to each other. Like, the biggest difference is that I've got Team Liquid down at 6.
Yep.
And then EG, Dignitas, it's a lot of the same.
Yeah.
Small changes.
Yep. And I think what'll be super interesting, I definitely want to couch mine with some level of variance. Nox, I know you like to do that as well. But there's definitely some teams in here that I'm like, hey, this is like a plus or minus 2,
Yeah.
And honestly, in a couple cases, it's like a plus or minus 3. Because I think some of them could swing wildly. But let's just start from the bottom and go up. I actually don't think this is going to take significantly long. Let's talk TSM and Immortals. So TSM made a whole bunch of changes. Haunser and Wild Turtle coming in. Boogie and Ruby as well. Chime in support. Fascinating decision-making from this organization. Immortals, on the other hand, you've got sitting Nox and Curly at 9th, myself at 10th, and Immortals currently fielding Solo, Kenvi, Bolulu, Tactical, and Treats, with I believe Treats and Solo being the new additions, and Bolulu kind of being solidly, in there for sure this time. I do not expect much from either of these teams. The only reason I had TSM in 9th over Immortals was I just feel like I don't know. I have a feeling.
I mean, hey, if you put in vibes down, I get it. Especially for like the bottom of the pack.
I don't think this roster is going to come in last. I really don't. Immortals just looks like the weaker roster to me. Look, I think Revenge on a bad team is better than Solo on a bad team. And I actually think Revenge is going to look better on Evil Geniuses now.
Interesting.
I agree with that. However, my caveat on that one little thing is it's just the Solo buff, baby. He brings every team he's on just a little bit higher than they should be. So if Solo was not on this team, you bet your ass I'd have him down in 10th.
That's fine.
Because Solo's on this team, they're not going to finish last. He's just good enough to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Curly, any thoughts on IMT versus TSM here?
I mean, I think just TSM kind of downgraded. I think Solo is always underappreciated, understated. He just he will counter every expectation you have of him. So that's why I do think that Immortals will perform better. And then also, like, backseat of things, it's just TSM as an org, the attitude. I don't know how much love that the LCS team is gonna get. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Dignitas coming in at a solid 8th for everyone. Rich coming in for Armut. Tomo and Diamond now solidified as the bot lane. It's crazy to say Santorin Jensen, 8th place. That's wild to me to say, but I just feel like this bot lane is outclassed. I do think there's a little bit of variance where they could possibly contend. I don't know if... I'm assuming actually this summer playoffs will be an 18 playoff. Do we know that for sure?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think they'll actually get into playoffs, which is crazy. I think they'll get dumpstered in that first losers round. But this team has a legitimate shot at maybe pushing up to 7th. I think if Rich really pops off, there's a real chance that they could make a little bit of noise. I just don't think, based off of what I saw last split, that so much improvement could have been made that they're going to push past, 6th place in this league. Especially considering the other players, in this league right now. How about you guys?
No, I mean, we're all on the same page, obviously, right?
Yeah.
I just... The org is a mess. I don't like their coach at all. I just genuinely don't know what this org is doing. The only reason why I'm actually
knows what they're doing. So
the only reason why I believe that they're going to get bumped up is because they're bringing up Diamond, who has been a long-standing support of Tomo for the past couple of years on FlyQuest Academy.
Yeah.
And along with that, I think Rich is a much better top laner than what Armut was, right? And so these factors together are going to do enough to make sure that they're no longer in 10th. I mean, heck, look at it from spring, right? You brought Tomo up. That team still only went 3-6. That's not a winning record, and it's not really good. But imagine if they can go 3-6, 3-6. Like last year, hold on. Let me look at spring really quick. So to give you an idea, 6-12 last year in spring, that would have put you. Oh, I'm on the NACL page. That's awkward. Hold on. I'm sorry. This is why I should be prepared better for stuff, but it's fine. We're getting there.
It's all good.
So spring of last year, if you had a 6-12 record, would have put you right. Hey, look at that! Right on. I guess it would have been technically ninth still, underneath Team Liquid and TSM because everything was so close. Okay, so never mind. They still wouldn't have made playoffs, but my whole point just down the drain. It would have been a lot closer, right? And I also believe that that's with just Tomo, though, right? You bring Rich in, I think you're going to get more than a 3-6. You're probably going to sneak a 4-5 in there, and heck, maybe if other teams are struggling, you can even get a 5-4. I still don't think they're going to be good. At the end of the day, I think they're going to do well enough that they can get in there and actually sneak a playoff spot. So, I have faith in them with the changes that they did make. Even if the logic behind them doesn't make sense, they should be able to make a playoff spot.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely fair. Curly, talk to me about Evil Geniuses. We all have them at 7th. They have completely changed out their roster except for Jojo Pune. Revenge, Armeo, Jojo, Unforgiven, and Ayla, ex-FlyQuest, in the Ayla Vulcan trade. Talk to me about this team, your expectations for them. Kind of feels like one of those rosters that could surprise given the right circumstances.
Absolutely, and I think the nice thing is the amount of NA talent present in here. It's hard not to root for this team, no matter how you feel about the org, because the players themselves have all shown themselves and gotten a lot of good opportunities. I think keeping JoJo as the center of it, definitely a very important thing. The loss of Inspired is something that has me concerned, though, because Armeo, while he was able to get opportunities in LCS finals before, during Santorin's whole health issues back in 21, he's kind of been that 1 foot in, 1 foot out jungler for me, and so he's not, to me, proven himself LCS caliber. Now I'm hoping a full split, a full commitment. Maybe he'll be able to do that. Maybe he'll be able to subvert expectations. But a lot of people will say that JoJo and Inspired, them as a pair, is a huge part of what made EG so good consistently. So seeing JoJo with the new jungler, it's going to be interesting how that works out. Revenge, I've talked about how I feel about him as a top laner. I don't think a change in org is going to do much for him. Maybe with these different players, maybe he'll get a chance to shine more, or maybe he'll just get to play stuff differently. Maybe this coaching staff is different than Immortals and he was restricted. Who knows? Unforgiven coming in from the LEC. No, not the LEC. He was in the LEC a couple of years ago on Mad Lions, and he's climbed his way up through the NACL and Academy. And so he's someone I might actually be kind of hyped for, because Mad Lions is an org I kind of actually really like, and I'd say has performed, despite their international performances, these last couple of years they've been pretty good. Even before Karzi and Kaiser were the bot lane, that kind of set them up for bigger success. So Unforgiven is someone who I'm going to be looking at very, very closely, coming in from the LEC. And then Ayla, I really, really hope that being able to have a full split, we'll be able to see him pop off. So this is a team, like I said, I'm very hyped for, and I want to watch the players get success, especially because of how a lot of people come from NACL or NA talent domestically.
Yeah.
So we'll who knows? Maybe there'll be a top 4.
Yeah. You know what's fascinating is I was just looking at the global contract database. Every player on the main LCS roster for EG, their contract ends November of this year, except for JoJo. His is November 2024. And then all their bunch of their academy guys are signed through 2024. So it's like, what? Oh God, I just want to know what EG's plan is for next year, because right now it does not seem like they plan on keeping this roster around either. Seems like next spring it's going to be another brand new EG roster.
An interesting tidbit is that JoJo currently is playing on a rookie contract, meaning he's basically on near LCS minimum money because that's just how he was signed for, I think, and that should be the end of this year. And then after this year, it should be like actual like LCS money that he has to start getting paid. So I kind of expect EG to sell him off to an org just to make some money back on him at this point, because technically, on a rookie contract as good as JoJo is, it's one of the few transactions that's actually probably going to be profitable for an org after everything that's happened, right?
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, that's why I was just looking at the database, because I was like, okay, when does JoJo's contract end? Because I cannot imagine this guy wants to stick around on a bottom half team. And I guarantee you there are several orgs that would jump at the chance to pick this guy up. Imagine JoJo in a 100 Thieves uniform. Imagine him in a Team Liquid
That'd
uniform.
That'd be crazy.
Like, instantly elevates both of those teams. God, imagine him in a FlyQuest uniform. Oh! So, that'd be pretty good. All right, moving on up. This is where things start getting a little funky. Nox and I sitting at NRG in 6th. Curly putting TL. Why don't we just take this whole 4 through 6 thing as a whole, because Nox and I are aligned. We've got TL 100 NRG 456. Curly, you've got 100 NRG TL. So we're completely misaligned on all of it. Nox, asking you first, talk to me about why you put your teams in the order you did, and then Curly, you can follow up with your take on the order of these teams.
So 4, 5, and 6. I'll start with Liquid first because this is the easiest for me to explain. I think so. If you tracked Liquid from last split, they finished 8 and 10, right? The first part of spring, the first round robin, they went 3 and 6, and then on the back half they went 5 and 4. That is a positive win-loss ratio on the back end, right? I think Liquid was really on the come up, and they were starting to gel, and they were starting to figure things out. They've been over in Europe while MSI was happening. They've been boot camping. They've been playing against Chinese and Korean teams as well as European teams. I have a lot of faith that this Liquid roster is going to click this summer. And so for me, I don't think they're going to be able to break the top 3 because I think the top 3 are just so damn good. They're going to be the best of the rest. So that's why I had Liquid in 4th. 100 Thieves. I think Quid will be an upgrade over Bjergsen, so that's a plus. I think Someday is an upgrade over Tenacity, so that's a plus. I think General Synergy, though, is probably still just going to be all over the place, so I kind of just threw them in 5th because I didn't really know what to do with them. And then NRG, it's the old CLG, but it's got a new bot lane, and I'm sure there's been a lot of turmoil with like the whole like roster selling and everything, or not roster selling, sorry, org selling. And I feel like there's just a lot of turmoil in there, and I'm not really sure how FBI and Ignar as a bot lane is supposed to play out with the rest of that squad. So I threw them in 6th just because I think they're going to be better than EG, who that is, as much as I like that roster because it's fun and it's North American talent, it's kind of a hodgepodge of like players, and I think it's just better than anything else below EG at that point too. Yeah. So that's the reason why I'm going Liquid, Thieves, NRG.
Nice. I like it. Curly, how about you?
So one of the reasons I have Team Liquid so low is I don't like that they stuck with their roster. I think this was not a roster that they should have stuck with. And yes, they did have a good increase of 2 more games won in the second round robin. But the games that they had added, like that they ended up tying, like was FlyQuest with roster troubles. And I believe they were also, I need to double check. Okay, they did 2-0 Immortals. Who else did they tie against? And then EG.
Liquid 2-0 Dig, Golden Guardians, and Immortals.
Yeah. So the only teams that they were able to change the situation with in the second split, or the second half of the split rather, were teams that had been suffering from behind the scenes issues.
Mm.
And so I don't take that. I don't really take that as a viable upgrade. It's like, oh boy, we beat people who were having problems. It's like how people, like, if you're rage queuing, you might have started out well and then you have one bad game and you play worse those next two. The people that were playing against you might be better than you overall, or they just might be having an advantage because you're not playing as good as you are, you know? And so I'm going to put a big asterisk on that second thing. And then also it's just, I think at the very least they should have switched out Piosik. I think they need a different jungler. I don't think he's that guy. I think the jungle pool in NA right now, like, there's just other people that are significantly better. So that's why I have them so low.
Yeah. Yeah, I took it a bit differently with Team Liquid. I feel, and when I said, like, hey, this is there's teams in here that I feel like have a variance of ±3. I was specifically talking about Team Liquid.
Team Liquid, yeah.
I was very specifically talking about them. I just feel that if they are on, this team could really do some damage.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
if you look at the names, it sounds like people that should be doing really well.
It really does. But, yeah, so it's like this weird thing where they could finish... You could tell me, Team Liquid finishes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, anywhere in there. Like, you time travel, and you come back, and you say, yep, they finished second. Yep, they finished sixth. Be like, yeah. Okay. Yeah,
fair
makes
enough.
Sense. Yeah, fair enough. Okay,
Throw darts, Team Liquid might land on it.
Yeah, exactly. They're just so all over the place for me. NRG, they betrayed the faith. They got rid of Luger.
And Poom.
I mean,
real shame.
The thing about that, right, is like it's the same people that were running CLG in the spring. So it's just because it's under a different name.
Right.
It's the same people that made the same choices. So you got to take that. And honestly, I think FBI and Ignar is a little bit of an upgrade. Like, I was very hyped for Poom and Luger. I like them. I would like to keep them in there.
Yeah.
But FBI and Ignar have both been on, like, world's caliber rosters, despite how Ignar's been these last couple of years. It's like they have it in them. And maybe just like Stixay with Huhi and Licorice going over to Golden Guardians, maybe you just need that right spot. And so I think being surrounded, like, Dokla, Contracts, and Palafox, they're homies. Those are the boys. They, like, they know how each other want to play really well. And so if FBI and Ignar can really gel into that, I think NRG can perform really well. But then when it comes to 100 Thieves, it's just someday really just upgraded my opinion of them so much.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah, I would say I think FBI and Ignar, slight upgrade. I don't think it's enough to really push this team much further past where they were last split, which is why I still have them in 6th. And then 100 Thieves, they're just such a weird team because who knows if Quid is going to be playing, or how soon, if that does occur. Someday, I would actually argue is probably an upgrade, but I don't know how much. But I don't know.
You were very hesitant about that.
I don't know how big of an upgrade he's really going to be. I don't know if it's going to, again, push this team over the line that they need to cross. I don't know if he's going to make up for some of the faults elsewhere on the map. I'm looking specifically at the bot lane. So I think I've kind of got them in this like ±1 variance right now, where I think they could go anywhere between 4 and 6.
That's fair.
So there's that. All right. We've made it all the way up to Golden Guardians. We are all aligned. The Spring Phenoms, we all are aligned that they will continue their run of form. They looked decent at MSI. There's no reason to believe that they will not continue playing well. That's just my take on it. It's the same exact roster. They're running it back as they freaking should. There's no reason to change. Gory and River are a very potent combo. Stixay has had a resurgence. Huhi looks very good on this team. Licorice is there. And I just feel like...
I would even say Licorice looks good now. Dude,
yeah. Licorice looks amazing.
I gave that man Zika Award for MSI. All of MSI. All players, all teams. That man got Zika Award. He was the most surprisingly, in a positive way, player at that tournament. He was good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really do think this team is... Yeah, in that top 3 conversation, I expect them to make Worlds. I really do, which is wild to say. Golden Guardians out Worlds. Crazy stuff. All right, any other thoughts on GG before we hit the final 2 clubs?
Nah, man, I'm excited to watch this team duking it out with FlyQuest and Cloud9, and to a certain extent Team Liquid, I'm sure, as well. No, I think, honestly, top 4 this summer should be fun. Should be good.
Should be. All right. FlyQuest Cloud9. That is where we have arrived to. Nox and I sitting at 2 for FlyQuest, Cloud9 at 1. And FlyQuest at 1 and Cloud9 2 for Curly. Curly, I'm expecting that you put FlyQuest at 1 primarily because of the Vulcan edition. Am I correct?
That is a major contributor, but like, actually, yeah, no, definitely. I think
actually no, it's
like,
just that. It's
like primarily that because I was hyped for the roster in spring. I expected them to outperform Cloud9 in spring. And while I do respect Sven as a support now, I do think he's kind of proven he can do it. He's very solid. Vulcan is just better, bro. And now that we have what I would consider like first and second place in almost every role, like people who are at their worst in like top 3 discussions.
Yeah.
It's we're gonna win, bro. We're gonna have a consistent split. Like even if it's a rocky start, we're going to do well and we're going to go all the way and we're winning summer. It's like we're going to get first in the regular season and we're going to go to Worlds as the first place seed. That's all there is to it. I don't know what else to tell you.
Dang. So, no, I love it. All right, Nox, why is Curly wrong?
I wouldn't necessarily say that Curly's wrong. Every point he raised there is actually very
I'm
very
trying
good
to
point.
Start some drama on the show. We need the viewers.
Wait, you know what? We'll leave our drama, Sandy, to Twitter. You and I have already stirred up enough crap on Twitter. We can leave our podcast drama free if you don't mind.
It's true.
So for me, one thing I want to point out is that Empire, who's the head scout of Evil Geniuses, he pointed out in the Oracle's Elixir Discord that every team, not just most teams, every team is going to be extremely hard-pressed to beat this Prince and Vulcan bot lane. They will be the number 1 bot lane in the league. So there's a plus right there. We have the number 1 bot lane. Let's look at top side. Impact versus Fudge. Fudge himself has said that Impact is the best top in the league, and that him and him go toe-to-toe. I would tend to agree with that. I think it kind of just depends how the map is playing out and what each team needs from each individual person. So we'll call that one pretty even, right? Even if I think longevity-wise, I think Impact has probably been the better player, right? So that leaves mid and jungle. And a lot of people are going to be, and it's a fair point, a lot of people are going to go to Cloud9 and point out and say, man, mid and jungle have like no synergy at all. Like at MSI, they didn't look that like they were playing all that well together, and they just kind of looked rough. To which my response to you is to say, hey, Spica and Vikla looked about the exact same. And on top of that, Gory was, or not Gory, Jimenez was in general the better laner over Vikla this past split. Now, does that mean that Vikla won't be able to beat him in lane later on this summer? No, that's not the case. I have a lot of faith that he will be able to do that. But I think in general, Blabber is the better jungler compared to Spica, even though they're both very, very close. And I think Jimenez currently is the better laner compared to Vikla, even though they're very, very close. So it's like small little edges that I'm giving to Cloud9 in terms of like the mid-jungle synergy that is really going to be what blows away the rest of this map. And so, because a lot of the time what I see in these team games is like, yes, AD carry is the most prominent role in how to win the game, but if your mid jungle isn't helping your AD carry get ahead in the game, you still end up losing anyway. And so I think Cloud9 still has a better mid jungle duo currently.
Yeah.
And come playoffs, that may change. But that is the reason why I have Cloud9 over FlyQuest. Is the mid jungle duo of Cloud9, even though it's rough in terms of international competition, is still better than what FlyQuest currently has.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement there. That mid-jungle duo for Cloud9 just is so overwhelming. I think we definitely made a huge upgrade in support, and I think that'll really round out the team a lot more. I am very specifically looking at Vikla to step it up this summer split. He has the opportunity to do so. Let's be honest, the bar is not super high for him to exceed his spring performance. He can do it. We know he has the capability. And I think he will. I am confident in this team to place top 3. But until I can see our mid-jungle duo consistently perform better than Cloud9's, I think they will have the advantage over us. And I think we will struggle against other strong mid-jungle duos, such as Golden Guardians. You know, for a little bit, I was a little unsure as to whether or not I should put FlyQuest at 3 and Golden Guardians at 2. It was really the Vulcan pickup that basically pushed me to put Fly at number 2. Otherwise, if it's the same roster, if Ayla or Winsome are back in support, then it's Golden Guardians at 2 and Fly at 3 for me.
I actually still have Golden Guardians mid-jungle duo as the best mid-jungle duo in the league. They are still the best. I
absolutely agree. Until I can see Spica Vikla crushing it beyond what Blabber Jimenez and River Gory can do, then I think it will be difficult for this team to overcome Cloud9 and Golden Guardians unless they are winning specifically through other parts of the map. Be that top lane, be that bottom lane. That would be how you have to do it. All right. Final thoughts on power rankings before we get to... Boy, I have been waiting to say this for probably like 2 months now. Week 1, LCS Summer Predictions. It's time.
Only took 2 weeks longer than we expected it to.
Absolutely.
Just 2 weeks.
Boom. Green across the board. Is anyone really surprised? All right, we've got Friday, 100 Thieves. Or not Friday, I'm sorry. Wednesday, 100 Thieves. Thursday, TSM. Friday, Golden Guardians rematch of the best of 5 that kept us from going to MSI. Let me get the specific time slots for you all. Last game of the day on Wednesday. Second game of the day versus TSM on Thursday. And second game of the day versus Golden Guardians on Friday. So it would be 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. 6, 3, and 3 for you West Coasters. Green across the board from all of us. 3-0 is the prediction. Curly, I appreciate that I will be updating the prediction graphic. Is that going to be... You know what you should add to this graphic is, in like parentheses, our overall record as well. You know, if you pull that from FlyQuest, that would be excellent as well. Not just the FlyQuest pick'ems, because that might be a bit more accurate as to our predictions.
Well, hold on. Like of the whole LCS?
Yeah, so you've got like the like FlyQuest goes 3-0, right? So we all have like a 3-0 under us. But then in like parentheses,
Okay.
if I go 9-6, for the rest of the league, then 3-0.
We'll see.
9-6.
We'll
see how
see.
it works. Anyway.
For now, we'll keep it FlyQuest focused.
Yeah. Okay, so right back to you, Curly. 3-0 was your prediction. Why so confident? Golden Guardians beat us in spring. 100 Thieves. They might have that new super phenom mid laner. And they got Sunday in. TSM exists. So why the 3-0?
We're better than 100 Thieves any day. We're better than TSM any day. And we've had a break and a new bot laner. So Golden Guardian's going to be a little bit hungover and going to be rudely awakened by FlyQuest.
No, I love it.
So real fast, just quick side tangent. I wonder if there will be an MSI hangover this year because we had an extra 2 weeks of no play. Not to say that teams weren't scrimming or trying or anything, but do you guys think there will be an MSI hangover?
Nope, don't think so at all.
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
But regardless, I still think we're going to do better. We're just going to do better.
Okay.
Nox, how about you? What's your thought on this 3-0,
100 Thieves, you've got a substitute top laner who's playing mid because 100 Thieves doesn't have their mid laner here yet. So I think Vikla should just be slapping him around theoretically. TSM is TSM. I literally, I know you guys have him ranked 9th. I literally have him ranked 10th. I don't trust that org at all.
I have mine ranked 10th. I have. Yeah.
Oh, never mind. It was just Sandy who has them ranked 9th.
Yes.
So never mind. Yeah, it's TSM. The ranked 10th. If we lose that, I'm going to be very, very sad. And then Golden Guardians, I really believe in this Prince Vulcan bot lane to come through and figure it out, even though I think Golden Guardians has a better mid-jungle duo. I have faith that Impact can negate Licorice, because I think Licorice has been on a huge come-up right now and it looks fantastic. So I more than anything, I just have faith that the mid-jungle duo of FlyQuest is going to get their crap together. And if they do, and even if they don't get it together and they just hold it together enough, I think Prince and Vulcan are just that much better than Stixxay and Huhi that if it has to go late, FlyQuest still wins it anyway.
Nice. I like it. 100 Thieves playing with a sub-mid. TSM, more like trash summer machine.
There we go. It got there.
Yeah.
And Golden Guardians. Yeah, I do think that, look, we had what it takes to beat them in spring. And honestly, it should have happened. I expect us to take some sweet revenge and go into, come out of week 1 with the 3-0. So, should be a fantastic week all around. And just like it'll be a fantastic week, this has been a fantastic episode. But we are coming to a close once again. Let's go back to there we go. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this episode of Flight Check. Super weeks for the next 6 weeks. It's wild. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, forever. It'll never end. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter for all our reactions and thoughts to every single game that's going to be coming across your way. You can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at SantosDB, Nox at NoxWar with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_WQ_. Make sure to hop into the Flight Check Discord as well. All kinds of esports discussion and otherwise taking place in there. If you missed any part of this episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning. If you're watching that and would like to catch the show live, we do broadcast the episode. Usually every Monday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Nox, any final thoughts before we wrap up? Shoutouts, plugs, anything I missed that we should have covered tonight?
Shout out to Vikla, who, as far as I'm aware, is still rank 1 in North America currently for solo queue.
Yeehaw.
I think he still has it. And then shout out to the FlyQuest content crew. They've been freaking smurfing it. The video today was fun. Really cool time. Theme, little leakers here, is coming out tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. And then, FlyQuest Discord Pick'ems is up and available in the FlyQuest Discord if you would like to play Pick'ems. If you win Pick'ems, you get the brand new, soon to be revealed tomorrow, FlyQuest jersey for summer. So good luck. Get in there.
Fun times.
Excellent. Love it. Curly, how about you? Any news or shout-outs or plugs that you want to drop in for us?
I'm going to shout out particularly Avli May for persuading the guys to make a whole K-pop video. I joked about when Numi became the community manager that this would happen.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, it happened. So I don't know if she had anything to do with it either, but it sounded like this was primarily Avli's doing.
Right.
And honestly, I live for Avli LCS parodies. They are the best thing. And the fact that they're all FlyQuest branded now, just amazing. Just amazing. We get free promotion from the most loved casters and one of the most notorious LCS fans out there. So it's a great time.
Yeah.
Just a great time to be FlyQuest.
Absolutely. Fantastic. All right, for my part, shout out is going to FlyQuest Red, who should be taking on Piss Gem Gaming at
what
approximately 13 minutes from now. I'm assuming it will be on Miss Harvey's stream. She's not live quite yet, so I might just hang on until she does for us to raid and host that. But that'll be going on. That's to get into top 6. They are in the losers bracket at this point, so a loss will send them out of the tournament, but they've still made it up to the next division. It's a best of 3 as far as I'm aware, so should be fantastic. Go over, support the fine folks over on FlyQuest Red. Get in the chat, show your support, and otherwise, shout out to the old Manchester City logo. I don't know if you can see it. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Manchester City, forever and always, 2022 to 2023 UEFA Champions League champions. Pep Guardiola is the greatest coach of all time, and that's all I've got to say about that.
Hey.
You know how it is. All right, we'll be back next week, recapping the first week of LCS, finally, and predicting how week 2 is going to go. So for now, stay safe out there. Please do not forget to hit the head on the nail, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.